And Joel, get ready.
Lord be with me. I don't know what I'm getting into.
No, don't worry. Be with all of us, Lord, because all of us need.
Okay, I thought of a question.
Yes, good. Wait a minute, Chris.
No, you don't need to, Chris. Get out of here.
Chris, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him, Chris.
I got friends in Framingham, Chris. I remember where you said you were from.
You better leave Chris alone. I'm telling you right now. He is not. Don't mess
I
with
think
him.
we actually met before, Joel.
Where's this? Where did you think so?
I think we met in Boston at an event at some point.
Okay, all right.
You look familiar.
Well, I mean, no one else looks as good in Boston, so I'm gonna give you that. Probably, man, if you remember me.
Or maybe a Zoom meeting or something. Oh, he's left the building.
You scared him off, Chris. You intimidated him.
I'm out.
I was gonna say something, but never mind. Let's just say he may have had to go do one of his duties.
No, I wanted to get some water. Just get a little water.
Oh, okay.
Little agua.
I thought you had to go do another duty.
No.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Tawana B with Not Your Normal Conversation, and I'm here with Joel Richards, who's running for District 4, Boston City Council. He's one of the candidates. And what I decided to do today is something different. I decided to bring this to you guys and say, hey, listen, let's have a town hall with Joe, because what I realize in the Black and Brown community is that we don't spend enough time asking the hard questions. We sugarcoat things, or we don't say anything at all. And then when the time comes for us to vote, we vote somebody into office, and now we're mad at them. Now they're the worst person in the world. They can't do the job because we didn't ask the tough questions, because we didn't go out and shake their hand and say, hi, my name is such and such, and I live down the street, and I want to know what you're really going to do with the community. What are you really trying to do here? I find that a lot of times we vote for people, like some people voted for President Trump, and he didn't do a great job. And I'm sure some people still would vote for him again, and he wouldn't do a great job. I think at the end of the day, we need to start voting people into office who we know are going to work for us and with us. And it's not about them always liking what you say. It's about them saying, I respect what you say, or I respect your opinion, and this is how I'm going to move, because I feel like the greater scheme of things is that things will get better for us if I do things this way, if you'll only trust me. So today we have Joel Richards, and again, he's running for Boston City Council in District 4. And I decided to allow people to ask questions, because I feel like it's the best way for us to get to know Joel and to get to know who he is and what he stands for and why he's running for Boston City Council. So Joel, let's go. How are you today, Joel?
Man, I'm doing well. Just thinking about everything that's going on right now in the world, 500,000, deaths in COVID. It's one of the reasons, one of the big reasons I'm running is everything you said, the leadership, the quality of leadership, the heart of the leadership, the mission of leadership in our politicians, in our cities, in our states, and in our nation, as you said, needs to be people focused. And I feel like if we were people focused, we wouldn't be at 500,000 deaths. I could be wrong, but I honestly feel that way. If we were people focused, if there was adequate housing, if there were schools with adequate ventilation and adequate internet, and people that weren't relying on a $7 an hour job working 3-4 jobs, I do feel like it wouldn't be 500,000. The bell wouldn't have rang 500 times today in Washington. And so I'm doing well considering that. Personally, please, if you pray, please lift up my mother. She had a surgery and it did not go well. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on, but this is why I'm running, because there's always a lot going on. And yeah, that's the best way to put it.
And I had you on the show a couple of months back, and I feel like I scratched the surface with you. So I reached out to you again because I said, hey, listen, let's allow people to ask you the tough questions. You're running for a seat in the Boston City Council in Dorchester, and that's you live in Fields Corner. It's a high crime area most of the time. There's a lot going on there. And sometimes the people don't feel safe. And I feel like for me, as a minority woman, a lot of times I stay away from the tough questions because I don't want to offend you. But then I vote for you, you get into office, and then you don't do the right things. And now I'm mad at you and I want to blow up your whole house because I'm like, listen, he said he was going to do these things and he didn't do it. So I heard you on another podcast. You sent me the interview and it was great. Actually, you did a lot better on that interview than you did on mine.
What?
So I want to say that for the record. So now that, we're more comfortable with each other, we can be transparent because, I heard you use your slogan. I didn't even know you had a slogan. So please enlighten us and the viewers and tell us what your slogan is because I never knew what it was.
Man, it's funny. It's funny you say that because I honestly feel like this is one of my favorite parts of the campaign is that we came up with the slogan. I had all these I'm a lofty person. I'm a dreamer. And I had all these, but there were people like, it's too long, it's too much, it's too wordy. I was like, I've heard that my whole life. This is my campaign, but no, you know what it was? More for D4, right? And what that means is more quality housing, not just for rent, but also for purchase, right? For low-income families and for all families, right? What it also means is more decent schools, more schools where kids feel loved and appreciated and get the education that they need and that they deserve, right? More small businesses, not just surviving, but thriving, accessing the grants and the different and capital from the city that they actually deserve. Because we got to be honest, the groups I just mentioned are the backbone of this city, right? When they couldn't go to work, this country froze.
Right.
Right. So I'm here more for D4 because D4 is basically built upon the backbone of this city, but it's the people that we trap in the margins, that we don't give supermarkets to, that we don't give quality schools to, but yet still the economy is built off their backs, right? So they deserve more. So my whole slogan is more for D4.
Right. So, we were joking around prior to this and we were talking about, there's this 18-year-old and as a matter of fact, I got a message from her on Instagram here, so I'm going to tell you what her name is. That's running for the same seat as you in Boston City Council. Yeah. And so I actually just happened to click onto Instagram and I saw this young lady. And I honestly was proud as if I was her mom. She's running for Boston City Council at 18 years old. And the first word that comes out of her mouth is, we need to stop the violence. Let's get the guns off the streets. When I heard that, I said, this sounds like not just, she sounds precocious, wise beyond her years. But more importantly, I wasn't feeling well that day, but I was in tune to what she was saying. Now, again, I may be a little biased because I know you and I don't know her, but I still listened to her campaign and what it was that she was trying to say. And I agree a lot with what she was trying to say, but I was thinking to myself, as an 18-year-old who hasn't really experienced much of the world or the things that have gone on in the world, how do you plan to create change? Good question. Someone else asked her that question. And I have to say this, Joe, she's lit.
I like it.
She definitely has something to bring to the table, even if she doesn't get elected. I feel like she has something that she may be able to offer you in the near future as a person seeing through young people's eyes, because I feel like that generation is the next generation to come. And whatever she was speaking of, there were so many young kids. You would think that they weren't going to be involved in politics. They were actually listening. Like her Instagram was really, I was like, oh, this is interesting. But let me
First of all,
Nakia Jean Charles. She's running for D4.
I can't wait to meet Nakia. You can I've been talking every time someone talks to me about it. I love young people, right? I thought I wouldn't be a good middle school teacher, and then I taught middle school and I loved it, man. I love that whole generation because they're hungry, right? They don't believe anything anymore. And I love it, right? You got to prove it to them. You got to, if you can't tell them you love them, right? You got to prove it to them. You can't tell them that the earth is round. We got to go outside and we got to spin some buckets, right? We got to do all the tests. We got to go through all the steps. I love that. And they're hilarious, by the way. I probably follow at least 7 18-year-old TikTokers and laugh hilarious.
She's definitely like the average TikToker. She definitely knows politics.
Right.
She definitely knows about the street and the things that are happening and going on in the street.
And
Young people keep their ears to the street, so they have more
and-
knowledge, and they feel like she felt. To me, it almost seemed like she was eager, no matter who gets this seat, to make a change and to make a difference in the community, and that's what we need. So someone asked a question, Joe, before. Martha Branch asked, how about bringing back rent control so people can afford to stay in Roxbury? Because you know gentrification, and you know that they're trying to move people out and buy out the blocks. What do you plan to, what do you say about that? Like, what do you say about rent control? Because more for D4, you talk about better schools, better housing. So what do you think about what Martha Branch asked you?
So the three parts here to that, right? First, we gotta get back to the young people real quick, and it'll circle around. I'm keeping the finger so I can keep track, because Tawana she didn't want to give me the questions beforehand, so this is all. But this is my chart, and I practice. This is what I believe. So at the same time, there's three parts to this. When you say the young people, right? I just watched Judas and the Black Messiah. Fred Hampton was 21 years old when he was murdered, right? Fred Hampton grew up 21 years old, right? You got to think about that, right? So that means when he started free breakfast programs, he was 19, 18 years old, right? This is the young people getting motivated and wanting to change the world is why I wake up in the morning, right? Is why I teach. It's why I get out there, right? And so to say rent control, that's not, rent control is one thing of many for me, right? Because I really feel like the city can provide more lotteries, right? It's not just rent control. Renting forever is not the issue. I want people that are running for office at 18 to be able to get a job, 19, 20, to be able to buy a house at 22, 23, 24 years old. That's what used to happen before, right? But now it's so expensive, that's not even a vision for most people that look like me, most people that come from the background that I come from, right? That's not an option anymore, right? I want them to start a family while buying a house, right? These are the things that I want to happen, right? So when I see, when someone asks a simple question like rent control, that's just not enough for me. Remember, this is more for D4. Yeah, we need rent control, right? But we also need more housing, right? Rent control is fine, but if there's no housing, what does that mean for anybody? So we need more housing, not just for rent, but also for purchase, right? We need more capital so contractors can develop housing for families, right? We need more families to be able to stay, live, and thrive in D4, right? I'm just gonna go with my slogan, because like you just said I didn't do it. I didn't tell you about it, so now you gotta get it all day, right? So, right, it's about the more, right? Like, so not just, we also need a vacancy tax, right? If you wanna build a big building in Boston, right, and leave it empty for international investors, if that apartment isn't occupied, it needs to be taxed. So D4, right, the people that live here, thrive here, and are trying to build a life here and raise a family here can have better schools, right? Can have more investment and more capital for their small business, right? So when I'm talking about more for D4, rent control is just one small part of many things that need to happen. We need to look at the pilot programs, right? We have a lot of nonprofits that own great, nice, big buildings in optimal areas, right? We need to look at these city contracts, right? Since the last time we talked, that report came out. What is it, 2.8 or 2.1 billion? And only 1% went to Black and Hispanic or Black.
Are you talking to Yusuf over there?
I'm talking to all of you. I don't know if anyone, it's 2.1 or 2.8.
I thought it was 2.1, but I thought maybe the number changed, and I thought Yusuf was checking because I thought that.
Oh, I did see him typing, but I don't know. But it is $2.1 billion, only 1%, right? We need more contracts going to people of color, businesses with people of color. We need more contracts going to where people of color are managers, right? And people are in charge of those businesses, right? Then that's the ultimate. That's just like rent control is here, right? And we need to keep building on top of that. What does that look like? Okay, yeah, you got rent control, and then you started your own electrical company because I went and I got my license. I started my own union company, but I don't get the contracts, right? Or I start my own supply company. What I was learning, I was actually on the phone, on a Zoom last night trying to learn more about this, the report. and that it actually comes from supply. So this is consistent money that is spent over the last 5 years.
Right.
This is people that supply the supplies for these offices to operate in Boston, right? So this is consistent money, right? Not only do I want you to have an apartment or a house to live in Boston, but if you want to do something or you want to branch out, you should have access to the same capital that everyone in the city has access to,
Right.
right? So yeah.
Right. So, you know, as I'm listening to you talk, and I'm just, you know, when I was preparing for this and saying that I wanted so many people to come on and be able to speak to you, to get to know, you know, who you are as a candidate and who you are as a person, because I think, like Rachel Rollins said it best, you can do all the right things, but if you have no morals and no values, it really doesn't go a long way, you know. And I think that how you were raised and the things that you value and the things that you believe in kind of kick into your work life and you know, into politics. And so, you know, for me, I was thinking about you the other day, and I was saying, well, you know, you're young, you're Black, you're married, you have children, you're a school teacher, and so what?
Right.
Right? Because to some people that's not enough. Because to some people, they lived in the projects all their life and they could never get out. Or, you know, I'm going to interview somebody from the WNBA, actually, who's a friend of mine on Instagram. And she just got a contract with the WNBA.
Love it.
And,
Love it.
you know, she said, you know, Tawana, nothing was ever handed to me. And she just opened up a foundation. But see, a lot of our young Black kids that come from the inner city and come from places of poverty have a hard time believing that they could ever succeed and make it anywhere. So I know that you're from Jamaica, and I know that you've lived here for some time, but I know that things probably weren't always the best for you. I know Jamaica, there's some parts of Jamaica that it's a very poor country. My ex-husband is from Jamaica, and he didn't really have a lot when he was growing up. But I know that that country is built on a lot of love and a lot of family. And so I believe that that's what you're going to bring to the table if you take the seat, is that you believe in family and you believe community is family. So for me, I just really want to know, what are you going to bring to the family? Because we're going to be your family if you take this seat, where you're not just your neighbors, we're going to be your family. And you're supposed to take care of your family. And I'm not saying, this is the problem with the community sometimes. Sometimes we think that if you work at Macy's, I'm supposed to go to your store and you're supposed to give me a discount. You're supposed to give me your discount because we cool like that.
Right. If you work at Macy's, I want a discount. If it's your own store, I'm joking. Stop.
The bottom line, and why I said that, is because nothing is handed to us. We have to get out and get it, right? And this country, we know, has been built off the backs of Black people. And now you're a Black man running for office. And now the Black community is going to expect you to bring it. You better come with it if you take that seat. You better not lie to us, Joel. And you better not tell us that you're going to do things and you're not going to be able to do it. So I brought you back on this show to tell me what is going to stop you and may hinder you from doing the things that you want to do and the things that you know that you're going to be able to do. Because I find that even with DA Rollins, she had the best intentions, but when she got in office, something she was not able to do because people were blocking her from doing the things that she wanted to do. And then there were things that she did and nobody liked it. And then she was the angry Black woman. So what I'm saying to you is, when you try to do what's best for the community, sometimes the community is not going to rock with you always.
So you're not going to get me riled up. Nice try, Tawana. It was good. It was good. But I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it one. As they say, I'm gonna keep it 100, but I'm gonna keep it calm. Right. So
that's what I want. I want to be transparent, Joe, because I respect you as a person, as a candidate. I respect your values, your family, and what you're trying to do here as a Black man and as a man and as a person who's trying to make a difference in the community. But I also don't want people to then say, they watch this live afterwards and they're like, he's not going to do any of that, or he's just saying those things. So I want you to just say to us, hey, this is what I plan to do, but this may not happen the way that we want it to happen, because there's going to be roadblocks. If it was just that easy, this world would be a better place, and there wouldn't be any poor people. There wouldn't be any people who are in poverty or don't have food to eat. That wouldn't be happening.
So I'll tell you this, right? I have a wonderful wife who prays for me and who talks me through things, who listens to me. her favorite question, who you arguing with? I'll just be in the corner of the house. And then she's like, who you arguing with? Society, because they stupid, right? Like, it's just like, it's every day she has to remind me that the world won't be what I want it to be, or the results won't come. And then she's like, but what? I was like, but I'm gonna still fight. I'm gonna still go out there every day. I'm gonna share it with you. So as a Boston public school teacher and as a teacher, you know how principals are the racist white men of education. I'm gonna just say it here live. You got they could suck the life out of everything that you're doing, right? And especially in a great school system like Boston, where we have a strong union, so there's a quality pay. People get a lot of applications, so it gives principals this sense of where they can just treat people how they want to treat them.
Of course.
And so when you're doing this job as a teacher, you have to decide if you're going to do it the way you're supposed to do it, because you're the person that you are, because you have the moral framework that you have,
right?
Because you believe in what you're doing. You have to decide to do good even when no one else appreciates it, or you're not even being appreciated. And I feel like if you can ask, I'm telling you, I always tell people, ask people that know me, ask teachers that know me, ask my wife. Yusuf can tell you, she ain't gonna lie for me. This is just the real world that I've decided a long time ago that I'm going to be the person that I'm going to be, for the main reason that, first of all, I want to get into heaven. That's the one thing. And then second of all, I've decided to be this person, and I don't need to be appreciated or liked by everyone. I need to know that I'm doing the right thing, right? When you talk about rent control, there's people going to roll their eyes and not want that. When you talk about quality schools for everybody, there's people that are going to feel their schools are under attack, and that's not true, right? But these are the things we need. These are the things that matter to the people in the margins, and I'm going to keep fighting for that. When you talk about my background, my father, I was quoting Shirley Chisholm, and we were talking about Shirley Chisholm because of Kamala and her victory. And my father was like, yeah, Shirley Chisholm's the reason I went to college. She started a program in Brooklyn that got him a scholarship to go to Brooklyn College after he came back from the Air Force. And that really touched me, that like you, as this position, as a city councilor, as somebody who has the access to help the public will actually help other people, you can make a difference. And like my father telling me that was just a confirmation that I'm on the right road. And so I one day want to, not that I want to hear it, I just want someone else to one day be able to say like, man, I went to college because Joel Richards set up this fund. Joel Richards made sure my school was fully funded. Joel Richards made sure my father got the access to capital to maintain his store or his restaurant. Joel Richards built single family housing in this area and fought for it and made sure we got a lottery, and I was able to get into that house, and my family had generational wealth and was able to use that equity to pay for my college. So I'm able to be this doctor, this psychologist, this artist, this music person, like whatever that is, right? That's what I want to hear. When I meet my Lord and Creator, I want him to just show me a vision of people that I help get out of the margin. All right.
So someone just asked the question.
I like it.
What will you do about the gang activity? Police know on a first name basis, but allow them to own blocks. So they're saying, what are you going to do about the corrupt cops? That's what they're asking you. What do you plan to do about the corrupt cops? What do you plan to do about the Boston Police Department who doesn't do their job the way that they should? And what do you plan to do about taking back our community from the gangs that seem to think that they own those blocks? What do you plan to do about it?
So when we talk about police, it's a civil servant job, right? Just like being a teacher.
Right.
And we live in a civil society, and Police are meant to keep that civility. Teachers are meant to teach people how to be civilians, right? So we need to move to a community policing model where the community and police sit down and really hash out what they want in their community, right? Because it makes no sense to have police that aren't appreciated by their community, and it
Right.
makes no sense to have police that don't appreciate their community, right? And to have that huge disconnect is not civility, right? They need to be able to sit down, and we need to be have like we need. I'm sorry, not like we need to have a actual community model for policing, but it can't be a national one. It can't be a state one. It has to be community by community, right? If C11 is in District 4, C11 and District 4 need to have a series of meetings, sit down and talk, and be like, this is what we need. This is what I want, right? I don't want them to own my community. I want those gang members off the street. I want them to have jobs. I want them to have insurance. I want them to know how to sign up for Medicare. I want them to know how to sign up for reading programs and get a mentor. And everyone has interest. We have to be honest. We're all humans. Everyone has interest. Everyone has hobbies. Everyone has something that they love and enjoy. No one wants to be on the street fearful of their life and fearful of being arrested, right? We have to be also honest. No one logically wants to hurt their community and hurt others around them, right? Or they're a sociopath, right? And that's a whole nother issue, right? And so if they're a sociopath, the society will take care of them. We'll remove them from our society. But there are people that just really want to live, all right? I've never been able to get through Fruitville Station because when he does that, like that transformation, he throws the weed out of his car and he stops selling weed and he goes try to get his money back. He goes and tries to get his job back at, have you ever watched the movie? There's this great scene where you just watch his retribution.
Go watch it after this.
Oh my, don't. I've never been. As soon as he goes to he does this scene where he goes to the supermarket, tries to get his job back, and he's like, I can't. He's like, I know he can't give me my job back because I didn't respect it. And he walks outside, and he's a drug dealer. He takes all his weed and he throws it out. I bawl crying every time. Like it just shows like that he wanted to change, and society wouldn't let him because they didn't view him as a human, right? And so until we can't have policing, we can't fix corruption until we have a conversation where we sit down and we view everyone like humans. We view the police like humans, and we view society at large, the people that look like me, that come from the background that I come from, as humans also, right? And deserve a society and deserve civil servants that serve them and protect them, right? Not demonize them and criminalize them and look at them as a problem. Right. And so do civil servants. As a civil servant, we deserve a society where we can communicate and understand, and you can see me as a vulnerable person. Right. As a teacher, I want everyone to know that I love their children. I want them to be successful. I just need your help to do it. And when a parent and I are working together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Right. And so I feel like a good police officer in a community that wants to thrive, which is every community. Every community just wants to walk their streets. Every community wants to have barbecues and hang out outside, right? Right? That's what they really want, right? So I really want to focus on that when it comes to policing, when it comes to corruption, when it comes to gangs, right? Like, and also I want to swim back to my 3, right? If you notice, the violence and gang population goes away when schools are improved, right? When housing is abundant and adequate, right, and is set up for families, and also when small businesses are thriving. There's certain neighborhoods you can go into all over the world, and there's no gangs, there's no this, because it's a community that cares and is loved and is thriving because those 3 things are happening, right? Do we have to talk about the environment? Yes. Do we have to talk about the immediate stop of violence? Right. I'll say it again. Do we need to put counselors and teen activists and mentors in the parks, in the juice bars, in the pizza shops where they hang out, and meet them and get them off the streets and talk to them and engage them? Yes. But long term, we have to fix those 3 areas, or we'll just have a cycle over and over again.
So Christopher asked, well, we already know one of the people that's running against you, and that's the 18-year-old young lady that's lit that I seen on Instagram there. And now he wants to know who else you're running for District 4. Is that it? Is Nakia it?
I believe there's other people, but
do you know who?
But like, I'm not. I'm a. I'm not being arrogant or anything. I'm running my race. I'm connecting with the people that I connect with. I'm advocating for the people that I know matter, which is the small business people, the people that are going to schools that are overcrowded, underfunded, right? The people that deserve more, right? Give you the slogan again, just to let you know, right?
Well, I have to say this. I have to say this. Joe Biden didn't want to meet President Trump, but he had to shake hands with him. You better start rubbing some elbows, Joe, because that's the way this race is.
But that's fine. And whoever I have to work with to get those people out of the margin, I will work with them, right? As long as your mission is to get people out of the margin. We can never, after COVID, I refuse to let our society go back to where we are letting people get crushed by the margins, right?
So
Disability rights.
someone asked, what's the number one reason why you entered the race and what separates you from the others? Like, what makes you so special that people should just run out to the polls and say, hey, listen, we're going to vote for Joel Riches because he said all these great things about rent control and about, you know, buying into the community and better schools and college funds. And what makes you a better candidate? And what made you run for this race to begin with?
So I'm gonna answer your question, then I'm gonna answer Chris's question because I can read
Okay,
it.
great.
And I'm a big, as a teacher,
I just read it for you.
no, yeah, the second part. As a teacher, I'm a big chat person. I love when people. Some people don't do the verbal, but they do the chat, and I wanna recognize it.
Right.
So the main reason I'm running is because as a Boston public school teacher, and as a Christian, and as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, I live in the margin. That's where I'm required to be.
Right.
But as a school teacher, as a Christian, I'm not allowed to stay in the margin, and I'm not allowed to leave the margin by myself. Right? I said this last time, Tawana, to not be me, I'd have to change everything about me. I'd have to change who my friends are. My wife wouldn't let me live it down. My kids wouldn't know who I am, my church community, my family, nobody, right? Like, who you see is who you get. The things that I'm saying is what I believe in my heart, right? One of my favorite rap lines ever is put a lie detector on me right now, right? Because like you would know if I'm lying or not because of the whole fact that I can't be anyone else because of where I am, how I feel, and how society treats me and how society puts me in certain categories, no matter how far I've come in life, right? And so I feel like if you wanted to if you want to put your trust in someone, I have nothing to gain in this race, right? But I feel like the city of Boston has a lot to gain if I win this race, because I'll work tirelessly to move people out of the margin. What is a new report that has come out because of racism, white supremacy, and oppression that America has lost trillions of dollars in a possible economy and built and wealth and growth. And that belongs in the communities of people that look like me, right? And I want to place that there. That's why my big three are what they are, right? And then when Chris asked about disability rights, right? As a Boston public school teacher, nothing breaks your heart more than watching someone that wants to access school, that wants to learn, that wants to be a part of society, not having the adequate education and the adequate facility to do so.
So is your main focus and your main goal of running this race adequate schools, or is there other things that you're targeting as far as what you're trying to change and what you're trying to do in the community? Because there was a person who just said, and I'm sorry, I was responding to them, what are you going to do to rid the street of gangs? Well, I just want to let that person know that gang members are a part of the community and they have to choose to put the guns down no matter who's sitting in a seat. We all know right from wrong, most of us. So if we choose to pick up the gun, then we have to be aware of what the consequences are. And Joel doesn't control those consequences. So let's be clear, community, because we get so stuck on wanting everyone else to make change, where we as neighbors and communities should make those changes, starting within our homes. So we should start with our kids and tell them to put those daggone guns down. It's not Joel's kids. These are our children. And even if he's not sitting in that seat and someone else is, the bottom line is that we have to make a difference. And if we can't do it at home, Joel's not going to be able to do it either.
So, because I feel like we have tanks, right? We have more police than ever, right? We have more jails than ever, and you still don't feel safe.
It's time for
I
us to
mean,
stop fighting for our kids, Joe. That's the bottom line.
that's the
We
bottom
need
line.
to start
And
fighting for our
I'm
kids, and we don't wait for President Obama or when it was President Trump to fight for our kids or to fight for our community. And this is why I have you on the show, because I want to know how you're going to stand with us and help us to fight, because this is our community. You're not the only one living in it.
right. And I have to say, it's like anything else is investment, right? You have to say that like everything is about an investment, right? And if you want to if you want to change your society, your community, right? One of the first things you have to do is invest in elementary education. I'm gonna be honest. That K-5 is critical, right? We've all heard the stories. They build jails based on the amount of people that fail third grade, right? I really don't know how true that is. In the sense of,
Is there any statistics on that?
I don't know how true that is, right? But as coming through grad school, I think I heard that maybe 155 times, right? And to be honest, if you can't read after leaving K-5, what other track do you have, right? But if you keep having overcrowded schools, if you keep having underfunded schools, if you keep having understaffed schools, right, you will keep having violence in your community. If you have more for D4, if you have more teachers, you have more schools, right, and more people in the schools that are loving and teaching and educating our youth, you will have less violence in your community. If you have more suitable housing and stable housing for families, right, not only just for rent, but also for purchase, you will have less violence in your community. If you have more capital and more chances for people to be able to start their own businesses and reinvest in their own communities, you'll have less violence in your community, right? It really isn't rocket science, right? The suburbs isn't doing anything that much different. They're just allowing their communities to reinvest in themselves, right? If you go to all schools, private schools, suburb schools, they brag about their teacher ratio, their teacher to student ratio, 9 to 1, 12 to 1, 10 to 1, 11 to 1, right? In Boston, you cannot brag about that. 35 to 1, 25 to 1, 28 to 1. That is not suitable to end violence in your community. Right? But I just want one more thing. When you say fight for your students, it's not fight for your children. It's join up with people like Joel, so we can go down to the to City Hall and demand a larger budget for our district.
Absolutely.
So demand for refitted schools with more space and more teachers.
And right? I agree with you. I agree with you, and not just that area, but I think again, sometimes the community pushes back because we feel like we're the underdogs, and we are, right? But let's stop being the underdogs and say, let me just take matters into my own hands. My vote does count. I need to see all the candidates. I need to know what they're about. Even if they are trying to blow smoke up my butt, I need to be able to see them and allow them to be transparent enough to where I can figure out when I go to the polls to vote, I'm voting for the right person.
Amen.
I was incarcerated, and you are absolutely right. A lot of the women would come to me to read their legal mail, to read because they cannot read. Because I was a tutor to help people to study for their GED when I was in South Bay. When I was in Framingham, I took Framingham actually does have a lot of education there. I went to Boston University, which is a school that if I was out here, I couldn't get into Boston University. You go to Framingham State Prison, and you can go to Boston University for free.
I won't even say nothing on there. I'll let that go.
Right? So again, why can't we bring programs like what's inside of the prison outside to the communities so that we're not paying for education, so that people can get a good education? Why can't I go to Harvard? Why do I have to pay all of this money to go? Why can't I sit at the same table and eat with the person who has money? Why is this not a possibility for us? And if you're going to be the person sitting in that seat, what tools are you going to give us so that we can use to make this work for us?
It's funny. I was talking to my father, Yusuf, other people today about my educational platform, right? Um, and the main thing one of the main things I think that I see differently as a
Right.
Boston educator, as a father, is that we need to change the way we do middle school and high school,
Mhm.
right? Our high schools, right? Our sophomore, junior, and senior years should be almost community college. Not almost, should be, let's be
Right,
honest,
right.
right? It should be either community college, it should be a vocational program, right? And it should also be a certification program, right? Just like you said, once you finally went to jail, they let you go to college. They let you go to get your associates for free. Makes no sense.
Oh, you get a
Not
bachelor's there. You get your bachelor's degree.
a bachelor's for free. That's crazy, right? Why, when you go to high school, you should be able to, right, you should be able to get an associate's for free. And then if you want to go to a 4-year college, you can, right? If you're doing excellent, if you're doing even above and beyond, going to summer school, doing all those things, you should then be able to exit, right, earlier and start getting your bachelor's, like you were saying, right, on scholarship for free, right? Why are we wasting thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to take English 101? Right, we have to think about that.
What's your first plan of action when you get in this seat? If you take this seat at the Boston City Council, what's your first plan of action? What's the first thing that you're going to attack?
That's a great question, right? And I'm gonna be honest.
Please be honest, because I'm telling you right now, we could be friends all day long, but I won't vote for you if you're not going to be honest, because I think that this is what this is really all about. Our communities right now, we're in dire need of transparency from the people that are running for office.
It's gonna be.
We haven't had that.
It has to be. I'm gonna do 3 things at once.
Okay, I'm listening.
And so the first thing is I'm gonna get the union together, my union, Boston Teachers Union, all the education advocates, and we're advocating for the budget for our underfunded and overpopulated schools, right? We're gonna automatically start working and then the second thing is automatically working to lower the classroom size, right? But that budget we're gonna attack right away, right? We know what we need. We know the money that we need, right? We know the teachers that we need. We know the extra staff that we need. Right away. This next thing, I'm hiring just a liaison to small businesses, and all they're going to do is actively walk around to District 4 businesses and ask them what do they need, and then do research and help them apply for grants and capital federally, statewide, and citywide to help them thrive as a business. This isn't, I'm not gonna do it that. These 3 things have to happen day one, right? Right. And then the third one is really advocate for more lotteries in the city so that renters can become homeowners, right? The city has a capital to develop housing and help people become homeowners within the city of Boston, especially people that have lived here for 10, 15 years, people that have left and returned back and have thrived and gotten degrees and are helping their community, like yourself, right? The city has the capital to be able to do that, right? No more lifelong renters. So I can't separate those 3. It's gonna be the first 3 things I do on day one, right? Hire a person, so hopefully someone who was in my team as election, day one, go start knocking on doors, go start meeting business managers, ask them what they need, and start applying for grants, start helping them organize their books, whatever it takes to get them the things they need, to get new signs, to get new POSs, to get new storefronts, to redesign their businesses, to get more marketing, to get a website, whatever that looks like. So those are the 3 main areas. Day one.
Someone spoke about disability. What do you plan to do about that? Because Chris is actually on here right now, and he is saying that, his main concern is disability rights. How do you plan to attack that issue? Because there are a lot of people in the community, elderly people and people who have different disabilities. What are you going to do to attack that issue so it's not taken from them, so that they're taken care of?
So, as I was saying earlier, as a Boston school teacher, disabilities are a huge part of just the burden and the hurt of working in schools, watching kids I work at the Blackstone, and we have every level of care, from students that don't speak, that can't walk, that can't feed themselves, that can't even use their hands. They're in wheelchair bound, that need PT, nurses feed them through tubes, all types of level of care. And it's always been that way for me as a teacher. And when you're an urban school teacher, you see children with autism, children with all types of disabilities, children that are legally blind, um, children that have all types of traumas. So when it comes to, since I'm, my campaign is a campaign for people in the margins, and people with disabilities are in the margins, right? They are people that are not respected a lot of times and not given the opportunities. So I want to see a city that is set up for the blind, a school system that is set up for people that have disabilities, that have learning delays, have trauma, right? I want to see those things. I want to see advocating for more bike lanes. I want to see advocating for more, just more access to buildings. And I also want to see incentive and tax breaks incentives for hiring people with disabilities. Other cities and other places around the country have done this, right? Where you make incentive programs through the city to hire people with disabilities, right? So that's something that they do. I have in-laws that have disabilities and delays, and I'm always happy. A lot of my friends growing up, what they do now is help, not a lot, maybe four. They help people with disabilities transition to independence. And if they don't have the adequate housing set up for that, once again, more housing for people with disabilities, more housing for people in the margins. You need housing set up for people with disabilities, right? Maybe they'll never own, but this is where rent control comes in. This is where that vacancy tax comes in, right? If we make the vacancy tax at a certain point, instead of making it vacant, they might say, oh, let me make housing for people with disabilities so they can access and have housing in the city, right? So it's a, if you, like I said before, if you're working for people in the margins, people with disabilities get help. People who can't access everything get help. So that's one of my main focuses.
So I have a question for you before we end this, because last time I don't think I was that tough on you. And just so you know, it's all love here. And I just wanted to draw it out of you because at this point, as we get closer and all the things that are happening, not just in the world, but in our communities, all the black and brown people, that there's more black and brown people in prison than there are in the communities. We need to draw them back out to the communities and not just make it safer for the people who have never been to jail, but people who have been to prison want to feel safe too. There's something that happened in their life that has gotten to them to the point sometimes where this is their safety as being in jail. We want them to feel safe in the community. We want them to feel loved. We want them to feel like all these query and background checks are not going to follow them for the rest of their life, and that they're going to be able to get out and get a job and live in peace. If they're being productive members of society, why is it every 5 seconds when you check in a query, if I'm qualified for this job, I should be able to get this job, because if I've already done my time, what do you care about what I did in the past? It has nothing to do with me going forward. And these are things that we need people to work on, because I can fight for this all day, but there needs to be an army of people doing this and not just me. I think at this point, if we were going to, Joel, and before we end the segment, if we were all going to go out to the polls and vote tomorrow, why should we vote for you?
I'm gonna repeat it again. Not my
slogan.
slogan.
Repeat it again for the people who didn't hear, because honestly, I need to know if I have to wake up tomorrow morning and prepare myself to vote for District 4. Why? And you're on the ballot. Why should I vote for you? So what? I know you. I like you. You're a Christian. But that doesn't mean anything. I respect you. That means nothing.
Right.
People that we can trust at this point. We have a hard time trusting people. Community has a hard time trusting people. And we don't really know what community is these days. So we need people that are going to lead us and guide us so that we can come together and figure this thing out. Why should we vote for you?
Because once again, this is not to say, like, I don't mind. Once again, this is a campaign for people in the margins, right? This is a campaign for more for D4, right? There are people where this system is currently working for, but there are so many and many more people where this system is not working for them.
Agreed.
Right? There is, but once again, we have to admit that this city and this society was built off of their back, right? Off of their work, right? Even when you were in prison, people made a lot of money off of you being in jail. We have to be honest about that. We have to be honest about that. They made money off of you going to college for free in jail, but not when you were in a public school. Let's not go down that road. But we have to look at the fact that, I'll say this, right? If you have to vote for me tomorrow, you'll know that no matter that, I will fight for the people that need it. That I'm just going to advocate for them, right? And that makes our city better. Our city will be better because we have more families there, because I'm an advocate for housing for them, right? I want to develop policy because right now it's too cheap for a contractor to develop condos, right? 1-bedroom condos and split them up and sell them for $800,000 a piece. But we can make policy to incentivize, right, contractors and developers to build single family housing or family housing, 3-bedroom apartments, right? There can be incentivization for that, right? We have the capital and the ability to provide quality public schools for every child here. And I'm not going to rest till that happens, right? We have the ability to have a justice system and a police department that sees people as humans, right? We do. We have that ability, right?
We have the ability, but we don't have, it's not happening right now.
I didn't say it was happening. I never said that, right? I just said we have the ability to do that, right? And that's gonna be my life work. We have the ability to open up and have scholarship programs where people can get their associates in high school, right? And then go on to a 4-year college after that of their choice, right? Mm-hmm. We have the ability to have certification programs in human resources, in IT, in business analytics, right? Where you don't even have to go to college. You can get your associates in high school. You can get your certifications in high school and go and enter the working world at 19, 20, 21 years old. Right? You're voting for me because I know these things are possible. Right? I don't believe these things are lofty goals. And when you vote for me, I'm going to fight and work towards those things. That's it. Right? I have no other skin in the game. I don't want to be a career politician. I want to change this world for the better. And that's what you're voting for, right? Yeah. I know that we can put solar panels on all our schools, right? In Boston, in BPS, right? So we don't end up like Texas running low on power, right? Or during an ice storm, right? I know that we can do LTE networks and give internet to low-income neighborhoods, right? Right? I know these things are possible. I believe and know these things are possible. And these are things that I want to see for Boston.
Now, you guys, you heard what he said, right? So now it's up to you to decide whether you would vote for Joe Richards for District 4. Again, I'm asking everybody in the community. If you don't know who your neighbor is, I'm going to tell you. Anybody that you're standing next to, even if you don't like them, they're your neighbor, right? It's time for us to reach out and start helping each other. And really saying, everybody is your community. Because as you can see, the people in the higher ups are not doing such a great job of protecting the community. So now it's time for us to show up and show out. And that means we need to show up at the polls and show out and vote for people that are going to help us to make change in our community and for Black and brown people.
Amen.
That's just the bottom line. And Chris, if you had to vote for somebody, would you vote for Joe tomorrow? If you had to vote, don't lie either. I don't care. You on this panel, so now I expect you to be honest. Would you vote for Joel if you had to vote? And he'll be okay. Don't worry about what he's thinking. Let's just be honest about this because people hear what you're saying, and there's some people on the live that are like, I wouldn't vote for him. Someone asked me, who is this guy? I didn't even hear of him. So that's the reason why it was important for me to bring you back on the show, to let people know something about you that's going to make them connect with you. You have to become transparent and personal. So Chris, you didn't get off. Would you vote for him?
Oh, I know who else is in the race first.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He said he needs to know who else is in the race.
People in the race.
Listen, just because I run this podcast, Not Your Normal Conversation. These are not the normal conversations, but I think everyone needs to have them. We need to be rubbing elbows and shaking hands with everybody that wants to take a seat and have some type of control over our world, our community, our housing, our jobs. all of those things, our prison system and who they're run by and how they're run. We need to be a part of those things because I know in some prisons they recycle underwear. That should never be happening. These are the things that I'm talking about, changes that need to be made. Everyone's willing to build more prisons, but less schools. And if you go to prison, you can get a BU education. Why is that? Something
Right.
to look forward to?
Well, speaking of looking forward to, there's one thing that I'm really, really looking forward to. Can I get a drum roll, please? A
ahead, Chris.
fabulous debate.
Absolutely. I think that there needs to be debates for people that are running for Boston City Council. I don't think that you guys should get off scot.
I'm not listening to Chris. Chris wouldn't even say who.
I was thinking the same thing. You know, you guys, I thank you for joining us live with Not Your Normal Conversation. I wanted to bring Joel Richards back on the show for District 4 because I know there's some other people that are running. I actually am thinking about interviewing somebody that's running against him in the race. She's 18 years old. And I heard her speak on another live the other night. And this is a person who's only 18, but sounds so seasoned. And when you have somebody like that, whose ear is always to the street, sometimes they may know how to get the job done. Again, I thank you guys for joining us tonight. Stay tuned.
Tawana, one last thing.
Not Your Normal Conversation. No dig at all, Chris. Not at all.
No, one last thing. For the debate, I think you should be the moderator.
Oh, of course. I would definitely be the moderator for that today.
I'm not listening to Chris no more.
I'm here for it, Chris. See, as not just as a woman, as a Black woman, as a formerly incarcerated woman, I can go on and on about the reasons why I sit in this seat because I am for the community. I stand with the community all the time. And even if Joel doesn't take this seat, I'm still going to be talking. I'm still going to be here doing the show. There may be about 5 or 6 people on this slide, but 200, 300 will watch it once this is all said and done. And that's my point in doing this. My point in doing this is not just to be talking, but talking about something that's going to make change. We need to be effective in making change in our community. And people can't just continue to sit on their hands and sit at the dinner table and talk about what needs to be done. We need to stop beating our feet on the pavement and making it happen. Thank you guys for joining Not Your Normal Conversation. Joel, thank you for putting up with me and my browbeating. I hope we're still friends. Yusuf, thank you for joining us. Chris.
Oh, no, Tawana, we're still friends. Me and Chris.
Absolutely. You guys, thank you for joining Not Your Normal Conversation. And you guys have a blessed evening and enjoy your night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
You guys were absolutely great. And I think that, again, Joel, I was giving you a hard
Can
time.
we please throw Chris out of here? He didn't
No,
even know.
Chris is my friend. This was not about the questions that you needed to prepare for. I needed you to prepare if somebody walks up to you in the community and asks you the same question that I asked you because they want to know, because they have a daughter or a son that's incarcerated or standing trial. I just interviewed Sean Ellis and I was appalled. I grew up with him. He's my friend. He was wrongfully convicted of killing a Boston police officer. And for 28 years, he's been fighting for everybody but him to make sure that things like this don't continue to happen in society. We have to be clear and be sure that when we're voting for people, that we're voting for people that are going to really make change and are not just saying things just because it sounds good.
Oh, no, I 100. No, I want you to interview the other people. I want people to see the other people. They need to compare. I 100% agree with that. Like Yusuf is on my campaign, and Yusuf.
I know Yusuf is. That's why he was scared to say anything because I was going to ask you.
I don't want him to because people would look at it wrong. But Yusuf is someone who has family members that have been incarcerated. I have cousins and family members that have been incarcerated. Right. I have dealt with the criminal justice system myself, and so I know what all that feels like. This is why I like people like you. You can't fake. You've been through it all. You've seen it, right? You wouldn't appreciate me if I was a fake, disingenuous person. I hope I did as well as the It's Lit podcast. You launched me. You got my feet wet. Once I understood how these things work, it was different. And so, I appreciate it. I appreciate the format. I hope the other people come on. I will say I'm trying to work on my messaging in the sense that the biggest difference between me and the other people running is that I'm from the community, right? I have no intentions other than to uplift and build my community. That's all I've done my whole life. So, yeah.
And I think that, again, there were some people in my life, and I just had to say, they're like, oh, I think when I asked you a question, again, you don't answer the way people want you to, and you're already the wrong candidate to sit in the seat. So when you saw me going like this, it's because I was letting them know that you are not, listen, if your kid is out in the street toting drugs and guns, then you need to take control of that, because this starts in your house. Don't expect this guy to come in and control your house. Control your house. And then
Right. Impossible, right?
If it gets out of control, he's the next person in line to maybe step in and help, because he's going to help the community. Again, we have to be clear and know what we are talking about when we're talking about electing people. You guys change things that are outside of our homes. We have the power to change what is inside of our homes, and it starts with how we are raising our children. We have kids that are having kids, so they're growing up with their kids. So if your kid does something to me, and because I don't touch nobody's kids, but I'm talking to the parent. If I
Right.
leave the house and you just as ignorant as a kid that was just doing whatever he was doing, then how am I supposed to be able to deal with you when you guys are growing up together? You see what I'm saying? Like, there has to be some accountability, and we can't keep throwing it on the politicians. We got to start throwing it on the parents. We got to start taking our community back by taking back our household.
Right.
And everybody's so afraid to do that because they're so afraid of these young kids. Listen, watch Beyond Scared Straight season 12. I did it. Those girls, I did that show. And
You were in there? Oh,
yes.
now I gotta go watch. No,
Season 12. Watch it, Chris. Make sure you watch it, okay? It's Beyond Scared Straight season 12, Suffolk County. Now, I ran into one of the girls that was on the program, and she was sitting there. I had just come from a funeral, and my son and my daughter were like, Mom, there's somebody staring at you. And I'm like, so what? People stare all the time. Why are you staring at her? Just let her stare. Just keep going. She finally walks up to me and she goes, I was wondering if that was you. And I'm like, hey. So when I recognized her, I went to go give her a hug. She was like, I just want to say thank you. I'm doing so much better now. I'm not living. She saw her father get shot and killed in the middle of the street in Dorchester. And you wonder why she's going around beating up her grandmother and the sister. She got anger problems, right? So they bring her to the jail. And it doesn't, again, I just called A&E to say, listen, we did this show. Where them kids at? It shouldn't stop there. What's going on with those kids?
You know,
we should have another show where we're talking to those kids and saying, because I'm really not mean. I love kids. I love people. So I said to her in Walgreens, I go, you know that I'm really not that mean. She goes, well, I can tell now. I was watching you talking and laughing with your kids. I go, yeah, but I wanted you to get it. I didn't want you to be my age trying to figure out why you shouldn't come to jail. I'm trying to tell you right now that you're going to end up just like me if you don't stop this. But A&E puts this stuff because they want to, it's all about money. Where them kids at? Because I want to interview them on this show, and I want to see if anything about their life has changed, because you took them to the jail one time to see that nasty, disgusting jail, and everybody perpetrated the fraud for that show.
It was funny you say that, right?
What they look like now. Well, where they doing now?
In 8th grade, I was part of this. It was a group called Brotherhood of Superstars.
I was just going to say, let me find out if they took you to the jail.
Oh, they did. They did. Keep
talking, I'm listening.
And that changed my life forever.
Yeah, it should have.
I used to cut up in school, and I remember going there, and like it was like this huge guy, right? He was like asleep, and he saw me walking, and he just like ran up to the glass and started like drooling and like looking at me, and then just like took off he was like, and just started going like that, and I was like, oh, this is not a place for me. Like
I don't think that it's a place for young kids. You're not because she was a kid that saw her father get literally executed in the middle of the street.
There's a difference between someone like me who cutting up, and then there's someone who has. That's a lot of times. I have to send you.
Why was you bringing her to just? She didn't care about nothing I said. The only time she got mad and she was crying is when I gave her that tray that we have to eat that food, and it was disgusting. And I told her, you ain't going nowhere until you eat this tray. So either they're gonna go downstairs and tell your grandmother that you're gonna be here for 3 days until you eat the tray, or you're gonna eat it. She ate a piece of what we eat every day and was throwing up.
Oof.
And I said to her, this is what you're going to have to deal with, because if nothing else bothered you, what was on that tray bothered you.
No,
And she wound up in Walgreens. She was like, you remember you made me eat that nasty trash? I said, girl, you lucky it was and that was the good food that you had, because the other food is disgusting. Like, you ain't seen nothing. I mean, unbelievable. Again, if the parents can't reach it as a community and as a society, we have to find ways to reach our children. I don't think that bringing people, because if you would have brought me to the jail when I was her age, excuse my language, I would have been like, so the fuck what? My mother was a drug addict. My parents were married young. My father left when my mother started getting high, and I didn't give a shit about nothing. And I was quiet. And if you said the wrong thing to me, I would attack you. I attacked my social worker, my therapist, the boss. My uncle's a Boston police officer. I was attacking the police. I was so angry because I thought my parents didn't love me. Do you think that if you brought me into a jail, that was going to change my life or change my mind? It was not. It was going to make me pissed off that you brought me there. You wasted my time. The girls was yelling in my face because I would fight them. So I don't see how this can help somebody who has that type of, I have deep-rooted issues. I was molested as a kid. I went to jail and officers tried to talk to me. They actually thought I was undercover because I was so nice, and because I used to have really long hair. So the way I looked, it was like, there's no way you should be in jail. The officers were trying to talk to me. This is the type of dysfunction that I dealt with on the inside of prisons day in and day out. And that's when I'm already traumatized from being a kid. And then you want to send me to this place because you think, and I had a non-violent offense. You want to lock me up in the air with a lady that killed somebody, drinking and driving. She got 18 months, but you locked me up for a non-violent offense. I get 5 years.
Exactly.
And Chris, no disrespect, but it's all about the skin tone. So she was white and I'm black, and I had no business being able to do what some people do on Wall Street. And she was drinking beer, knew she shouldn't have been driving, had 2 cases of beer, killed somebody's only son, and she got 18 months. And here I am doing 5 years. System
Only
is
18.
just. It's just not just. It's just
vehicular manslaughter. I'm sorry, manslaughter. Only
so
18.
again, we need people who are going to sit in a seat that are going to recognize that if the parents can't control their kids, how are we going to help them so that they can get to a better place where they're not ending up in jail, where they're not ending up with a gun in their hand shooting? Listen, most of the people that are in gangs, their mothers have Section 8. You don't own shit on that street, and you sit there fighting over a block that your mother doesn't even pay rent on.
Exactly.
Like, we have to be more prepared and prepare our kids for what is, and stop thinking that everything is controlled by the outside and by yes, they govern the laws, but we could put the smackdown on the laws in our house. My kids, my son got his master's degree, and my daughter's getting her bachelor's degree. She wants to be a doctor. And just because their mother went to jail 7 times, it didn't stop them from doing anything that they're doing right now. So just, you better believe, I'm probably a better parent than some people who have never been to jail. It's all about my experience, and that's what makes me the greatest teacher, because experience is the best teacher. So that's why I was just so tough on you just now, because I want you to understand that people are going to come at you with all types of things. They want you to parent their kids. They want you to be a father to their kid because the kids don't got no father. That is not your job. We need to throw this back into the community's lap and say,
it's like,
that part's out of my control. You need to
right. And that's why it's like, that's why my big 3, are always the housing, the education, and the and
better
small
add
business.
4. You better not take disability away from Chris. We can't have
honestly, I'm be honest. I don't care nothing about Chris.
Disability away
I don't care nothing about Chris.
If
Chris had his chance.
Still get his disability, I'm going back to jail. I'm telling you right now, do not play with my friend. I'm not playing. He says good morning. He says good night. He says good afternoon. He tells me be blessed. That is the greatest thing you can ever say to somebody. If you do anything to him, I'm coming for you, okay? And you know I know how to pick a lock, so I'm coming to your house. Do not play with me, okay?
All right, Chris, you're protected, so you're okay. But no.
And Chris, pray for Joe's mother too, because I know that you do believe. So please pray for him. I mean, I'm trying to make him laugh. I know where he's at right now, but I just want you to know, Joe, that I love you, no matter.
Thank you. No, I appreciate this so much. I appreciate this so much, and it was a great setting. I liked that it was small, intimate. I liked that it was here.
I like that Chris came on too, because he's all type of stuff. Chris done put me on Twitter. Somebody done follow me. Chris, what did you do with this? Did you put this video on Twitter? Huh?
I just followed you on Twitter, yes.
You're so cute, Chris. I just love you. Don't you
I
worry about it.
can't find you on Instagram though.
I was gonna put you. I'm on Instagram too. I was gonna put it on Twitter, but you just did me a huge favor. Joe,
And
I'm
also
gonna
to-
send you a copy of this, like I did the last time.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Just to let you know, Tawana, I'm doing an Instagram launch soon, so I'll let you know about that.
I'll promote it. You know I will. I
Thank you,
share
thank you.
everything. I share
Thank you.
everything.
I
I got a
appreciate it.
big old mouth.
You're on Twitter already, Joel.
I'm sorry, say
Okay,
again.
perfect. I don't have to put it
You
on
have
Twitter then.
campaign on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Chris will
You
promote
don't
you
have
too.
to
Don't
take
worry.
it.
Even though you try to take his disability, he's gonna promote you too. Cause Chris, he's a bomb. He's my friend.
No,
on
man,
Facebook.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
Now
you
we're
saying you're not
friends.
just going to support me. No, I really want people to look at every candidate. I really do feel
Of
like
course,
it's, yeah.
Of course,
no.
I felt kind of salted. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna betray Joe because I gotta interview this young lady because I gotta pick her brain. I need to know.
No. I say do it. I say do it. I say that is low. I'd rather her than all my other opponents.
I just feel like
To be honest,
I
yeah,
want young kids to see that this is what you can be doing instead of some of the stuff that you're doing. Because at 18 years old, there's no way that you're thinking about running for a Boston City Council. So I need to know who's your parents, girl, because I want to say thank you to them, first of all. And second of all, I want to know what is it that you plan to do if you get the seat, because I'm thinking a lot of people are going to take her as a joke. That's why I want to bring her on the show to kind of give her an outlet. She already does lives on Instagram. I want people to see, no matter if she wins or loses, she ran the race.
Mm-hmm.
She ran the race.
I hope she stays in it. I hope she maintains. No, I feel like she's more. I'm telling you that there's a lot of opportunists because it's an open seat that will jump in. And I feel like I'm glad that she's doing it because she's from here. Like you said, she's part. Like she experiences the violence. She just didn't move here. You know, like when the neighborhood started changing. She's been here for a long time. So yeah.
I want to hook you up with two people. So the other night I was on a platform. You know that I interviewed Rachel Rollins. Actually, I did Tom, her sister, so I'm actually good friends with her and with her sister. So she has another sister that actually is the director over at the Boston Red Sox. But the other night they did a platform, her and Rosemarie. I know you saw, I don't know if you saw Sean Ellis and Rosemarie. I did an
Yeah, I did. I watched that. Yes.
So Sean Ellis was on this platform with Rosemarie, Rachel Rollins, and the McCourty brothers from the Patriots.
Yeah, you did tell me when we were on the phone. Yeah, you told me. Yes.
So I hooked up with them because, of course, once I see that you for any type of prison reform, I'm for it. So I reached out to them and they live together. They've never done anything apart. They live together all in the same house. You said their wives, their kids, everything. They've never done anything apart.
That's
And
hilarious.
so they asked me to, of course, one hand washes the other and the face gets clean, fair exchange, no robbery. You ask them to do something for you, and of course, they want you to do something for them. They speak to inner city youth. They go out and campaign for justice reform and all of those different things. And I know that they're big on education because the platform the other night, they spoke about education and how they grew up and all of those things. Joe, I'd like to connect you with the both of them. They're really down to earth. I think that they could be great just for, not just for your campaign, but just for going forward. If you take this seat, these are two brothers that are saying, hey, listen, I believe in schools too. I'll fight too. The one thing that made me very interested in them was the fact that they said that their platform is what they use to draw people in because people listen to big celebrities, even if they don't even like them. They just nosy as shit. They want to get on there and be nosy and find out their whole life. When they get on their page, they do talk about their lives, but they're also talking about the things that they're doing in the community, justice reform, prison reform, education. They're big on education, and I'd like to hook you up with them in the next week when I'm feeling a lot better, because actually my stomach hurts like hell. But
no, man, go relax. Yeah, no.
But I want you to know, I want to hook you up with those guys.
Please, I appreciate it.
Where you go with them.
Okay, where is it though?
Is that your wife?
No, it's my dad. Tell him get down on him up there. Oh, my
no. Are you talking to him like that?
No. I'm talking to my son like that. No, that's not him.
Oh,
never talk to my father. I'll never talk to my father like that.
I was ready for him to be like,
no. I was talking about because he loved to get on the when I'm not paying. He get on the phone.
Respect our elders. Respect our elders.
I'm almost 50, so I'm almost 50 years.
You know, I am West Indian. I'm
almost 50 years old, so I don't expect people always think I'm a young kid. I am not young. I'm an old lady. I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm, I'm just saying though. You know what I mean?
No. He was hanging out with Grandpa. Then he get on the phone, love to go upstairs. He think he's 25. He's 6. He upstairs.
Leave him alone too. I stick up for the kids too. The elderly and the kids. I'm for the elderly and the kids. So Joe, I love you.
Thank you, Tawana. I just sent you, I think, a story that really touched with you. I just sent you through email.
I heard something.
It's through my teaching journey. I shared it with the union. I think you'll like it. So yeah, definitely.
Chris, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm gonna actually do another town hall with Domingos DeRosa. He's actually lit. He's the one that left those needles in front of Charlie.
Love Domingos.
I interviewed him. He is so funny, but we keep in contact. If I find somebody that's homeless and they reach out to me, I always send him, because he's great in the community. I always send him out to give them clothes and stuff like that. He is definitely a community activist. If nothing else, he got a big old mouth.
He does. I love Domingo. I love it.
He don't stop. So I'm having a town hall for him next Monday. I hope you guys will join me, because
I'll be there. We'll be there. I always watch your stuff. I don't want to comment too much.
I'll send you guys an invite for this by email. I
don't want people to think you treat me right just because I'm on your stuff, but I always watch.
I need you to chime into this, because Domingos actually is running for Boston City Council at large. So this is a much bigger scope. I think that, he got a big old mouth. He's a person that can make a lot of changes. Not that Joe can't, but this guy went to Charlie Baker's house. He was all over the news, on the radio. He put all those needles in front of Charlie Baker's house. He said, yeah, listen, if you want my kids to look at this, I'm gonna let you and your wife look at this. He did say, hey, I put the orange cones here. The Boston police said it was okay. They said they was in fear for their life. How do you think we feel? If you was in fear for your life seeing that, and you knew that there was some cones saying stranger danger, we don't have that luxury. Our kids are playing in the park, they get stuck by a needle that somebody else was using. There is no stranger danger for us. We're just letting you know, hey, Charlie Baker, he's running for president, y'all. He's running for president. I've been listening to the news. He's about to be running for president. The next 4 years, Charlie Baker's gonna be.
Oh yeah, he's gonna try to take that party from Trump. Oh yeah.
Y'all better be ready. Don't vote for him, Chris. If you vote for him, we ain't friends no more. I don't care. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, you said you're a Democrat. You're a Democrat. That's right. You better be. Chris, if you voted for the orange guy, I love you, but our friendship ends here. I don't care. Everybody, you guys have a nice night. I have to go take my medication. It's way.
Go relax. Go get some rest, please.
I love all of you, Chris. I love you. We are now friends. We are no longer just Facebook friends. If you ever need me, Chris, for anything, I'm here. Yusuf, I will send you guys an invitation. Y'all better join Zoom so that we can hear Domingos DeRosa. He's gonna go in. Every time I call him, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, shaking shit up, disturbing. I'm like, exactly. Just what we need. I love you guys. Everybody have a good night. Chris, stay safe. If you need anything from me, Chris, food, anything. I see that you go to food pantries and stuff. Look me up. I drive. I would come to you and bring you whatever you need. Okay, Chris?
Thank you.
You're welcome, love. Have a good night. Everybody have a good night.
Have a good night.
Joel, kiss your mother.
Good night. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, good night. Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you so much, Tawana. Thank you, Chris.
Good night.
Y'all were awesome. Bye. All right.